Hi everyone. For the review tutorial, the topics related to the neurotransmitters and their functions, the nerve cell and its electrical functioning, and the third is the motor system of the human being. Now, let us get started. First, we have the brain stem. This is a stalk-like projection extending caudally from the base of the cerebrum, and it facilitates the communications between the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the spinal cord. What is the part of the brain which is responsible for coordinating? They make voluntary movements. It includes with the motor skills such as the balance, coordination, and posture. That is what we call the cerebellum. Now we have the terminal cell or terminal end fibers. This will transmit impulses, leaving the neurons across a synapse in the next neuron. While we have the interneuron, now its purpose will carry the process of sensory information. This is a chemical messengers that transmit signals from a neuron in a target cell across a synapse. We call that as the neurotransmitters. Now, there are three levels: the lower level, middle level, and the highest level. A somatic motor activity that controls the cerebral cortex for execution is the lower level. And we have the GABA. GABA is the globoaminobutyric acid, dopamine, and glycine. Their actions are inhibitory. And when you will say what part of the level which is in charge for supervising, now this is a middle level of somatic activity. And what chemical substances that is released when from a nerve cell, that is neurotransmitters. Now we have the neurotransmitters, which is the endorphin. This is presented in the whole nervous system. Now, if somebody will ask, what is the most abundant excitatory neurotransmitters in the vertebrate nervous system? The answer will be the glutamate. Serotonin is in charge in regulating the mood, now the social behavior, sleep and memory, or the what we call as sexual desire. While the acetylcholine, now this is found in both the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. When I will ask you, this is a single branch of neuron that will conduct impulses away from the cell body. This is the part of the neuron which is the axon. Now, the rate and pattern of discharge in motor neuron is the one now in charge to determine the muscle activity. Head rotation, now that is a function of premotor cortex. And the autonomic nervous system, this is the functional division of the brain. While the gray matter, this consists mainly of the neuronal cell bodies or the soma. The part of the brain that makes up just 10% of the total volume of the brain, yet it contains an estimated 50% to 80% of the brain neuron, that is the medulla. The anatomical parts connecting the left and right cerebral hemisphere is the corpus callosum, while the presentations of the trunk and upper limbs in the upper part of the gyrus. Now, while the face and head in the lower part is, we call that as the homunculus. What is the estimated weight of the brain in gram? That is from about 1300 to 1400 grams. The area of the brain responsible for speech production and circulation is the Broca's area. If a doctor will ask you now to determine whether you really understood or understand the mechanism action of neurotransmitters, you are going to say that the mechanism of action of the neurotransmitters, they are now the one released from the presynaptic terminal. Then after release, they came the polarizations of the terminal membrane, which ultimately causes the activation of the voltage gated from calcium channels. After activating of the channels, now there is an influx of the calcium ions, which causes the conformational changes. As a result, there is fusion of the vesicle to the plasma membrane, and there is the release of neurotransmitter at the synaptic clip. Then once released, the neurotransmitters, it will diffuse through the synaptic cells or the clip membrane. So here, we call that as the action potential, which is created at axon, hillock, and as a result, the neurotransmitters is released, which is it will send a message to its target. Okay? So, we have the midbrain. Now, midbrain, this is the part of the brain stem. And the purpose of the blood-brain barrier, now it will supply the nutrients while preventing the hazardous teaching or reaching in the brain. So, what is central nervous system? Now, the central nervous system is consisting of the brain and spinal cord. And there are 4 layers of the meninges that protect the brain. Generation of ideas and giving motor commands. This is an example of the highest level that controls of the somatic motor activity function. The function of the brainstem, now it does with the regulations of the heart rate, breathing, sleeping, and eating. It also plays a role of conduction. All information relayed from the body to the cerebrum and cerebellum and vice versa must traverse in the brainstem. And the basic function of the cell body is to process information to center of the cell while supporting and removing the debris from the nervous system. Now, that is the basic function of the neuroglial cells. If you are going to know more about the central nervous system, of course, now you must know what is the difference of the sympathetic nervous system, the part, and the parasympathetic. Now, the sympathetic system prepare the body for the fight or flight response during the potential danger. On the other hand, the parasympathetic nervous system, it will inhibit the body from overworking, and its function is to restore the body to calm and composed state. Okay, so hopefully this will help. Now, those were the pointers review tutorial related to the 3 topics: the motor system, neurotransmitter, and nerve cell and its electrical functioning. Okay, thank you.